NXT's very own Lexis King, formerly known as Brian Pillman Jr., made an appearance on the Hall of Fame podcast with Booker T this week and had a conversation that I thought was this was a hell of an interview with Pillman Jr. Very insightful, very raw, very open. And he just kind of sat down with Booker T and opened up about his life being raised by an abusive stepfather after losing his real father and never really knowing his real father. It was super insightful, and they talked a little bit about coming to NXT. They didn't talk a lot about AEW or really anything about AEW. So there's nothing there to dig into, but they did talk about how, Pillman came to WWE and he wanted to change things up, and that was they gave him the freedom to do that. So that a lot of this Lexis King shit comes from him. But it was in this particular clip here where he talks about living in that shadow of his father, Flying Brian, the loose cannon Brian Pillman, and what it was like kind of growing up with that and how that had an impact on his life and driving him into becoming a professional wrestler and filling those boots that are by some would say would be completely unfillable. Check out this clip.
Do you feel like you was born to do this?
I think about that a lot, and, it's almost like I feel like I never had a choice. I felt like it was always in my blood, for the fact that the day he decided he was going to name me Brian Pillman, I was trapped. It was everywhere I'd go, go to the grocery. Oh, Brian Pillman, it's a household name in Cincinnati where I grew up. And so I couldn't escape that legacy. I couldn't escape all the reminders of him. And to be fair, he didn't exactly leave me a choice. He left me on this earth without anything. I didn't grow up with all the wealth and all the accolades that he, that gained throughout his life. So I had to scratch and claw and find my way through it. I couldn't just go to school and just, I did go to school and I did do all those things, but I needed more. He made it so I needed to reclaim all that. You know what I mean? I've never been content with just being average, because I know what the Pillman name used to have. And instead of building on this wealth of his, I didn't inherit any of that. I didn't inherit anything. So now I have to go back out there and reclaim it all. So, and the best way to do that with my genetics and my personality and what I inherited from him indirectly is to be a pro wrestler. You know what I mean? I was never going to succeed at anything else. There was just that bone in my body that, just the hoop person I am only works in this world. I'm almost more blessed in that sense that now I have something to chase. I have this drive to be better than he was, and had he been around, maybe I wouldn't have had that. Maybe I would have resented the business because I didn't need it. I don't know. It's hard to say. Every second generation wrestler goes through their own trials and tribulations with this business and how it affects them.
Again, I thought this was a fantastic interview with Pillman Jr. I thought we learned a whole lot about him. I think he gave us something to latch on to, something to get behind, something to support. This was something that Jim Cornette was ranting and raving about for a long time on his show, about how after the Dark Side of the Ring episode with Brian Pillman Jr. kind of blew him up a little bit, that AEW didn't capitalize on him at all and set him up as a sympathetic babyface, trying to, after living through all of that, kind of play off of that and build off of that, try to get him somewhere. And WWE has done just that with the vignettes that they did that were acknowledging his father and his history, but why he switched to the name Lexis King, which is growing on me a little bit. I hated it at first. And it just, Lexus sounds weird. We already have a zillion kings in the world of professional wrestling. But, as is everything, Dolph Ziggler, right? Big Show. Remember when Big Show, some of you guys old enough to remember when the Giant came over and he was the Big Show? Even just calling him Paul White was weird. And just by the time we got barely used to calling him Paul White, which was spelt weird too on top of it, then we had to start calling him the Big Show. We were like, Big Show. So every once in a while these names will catch you off guard, but they grow on you, and over time it just is what it is. So Lexis King, fine, whatever. Especially, when they're at least they're acknowledging his history and why he's making the change. And with this interview and some of the things that he's done, the vignettes and that sort of thing, I think there's something there. Now, I've been on record as saying, I've said this a couple times, and I still kind of stand by it, but I'm hoping I get proven wrong. I've said that I think they're going to find out what AEW found out, was that there's nothing really there with Brian Pillman Jr. Now, I'm already starting to be proven along to a certain extent because the packaging of Brian Pillman Jr. in NXT as Lexis King has been leaps and bounds better than it ever was in AEW as the Hollywood, the Varsity Blondes with Griff Garrison and just, and then the MJF angle real quick. And, they never did shit with Brian Pillman to the extent, at least they're doing shit with Brian Pillman in NXT. So there's something there. So I hope I'm wrong. The packaging, the presentation, it's there. But I also see little hints of stuff in his, obviously his work and his promos and that sort of thing that still isn't quite all there. And, I famously said on one of these shows that I think he's much more of a Curtis Axel than he is a Randy Orton as far as a second generation. Of course, Orton's a third generation, but you get the point. I think, or a Charlotte Flair, pick your second generation that has excelled. Dom Dom. Well, I don't know if we're there yet with Dom Dom. He strikes me as more of a Curtis Axel talent, but he's down there in NXT. He's got the best possible training and development that could possibly be provided to him at this point. If he fails, he will fail because he just doesn't have it. Because now in the NXT system, he's coming up under Shawn Michaels, being developed under the Heartbreak Kid himself, who knows a thing or two about turning bad and like just fucking building your presence. You know what I mean? The in-ring they can work on, and just the promos, the coaches. He has every opportunity in the world, and they've shown me enough where I hope to God I'm wrong, and I hope we see one of the next big stars out of Brian Pillman Jr. because I like the kid overall. I liked him in AEW. I liked the Varsity Blondes. I liked him with the mullet. I thought he made the mullet work. I thought there was something there, but over time, it just kind of seemed, okay, this guy has not impressed me any further. Got to be the point where he was there 2 years, 3 years, and I wasn't seeing anything new from him. And maybe that was because AEW just wasn't using him, but, it also kind of struck me that he hadn't improved in the ring. His promos hadn't gotten any better. Maybe that's the coaching. Maybe that's the development. So I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully he's not the next Curtis Axel, who was a hell of a talent. He trained The Rock in the ring. Like, physically he was good, but, not a star. Will Lexis King be a star? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you like the name? Do you think he'll be a breakout star? Or do you think he's the next Curtis Axel, just a second generation that gets lost in the mix? Well, they tried, but he just doesn't have it. or does he have it? And it will be refined and polished and developed into a fine, shiny diamond that will be at many WrestleManias to come. Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button while you're there. Thumbs it up. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next.
Oh yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Yeah, and you can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on the channel. Oh yeah, dig it.